Hello, you are listening to Profoundish. I'm Alex Duquette. Today I'm going to be joined by my co-host Weston, and we're going to be talking about dreams. Should we take weight in them? Are they absolute nonsense? Have we both had dreams where we're naked in public? The answer to that one is yes. And after we talk about that stuff, Weston will be playing a little game where he'll be given the 10 most common themes found in people's dreams and order them from least to most common. How will he do? You'll just have to listen to find out. This is Profoundish. Hey! It is my foxy friend. He wanted to be called Foxy, so
You can't prove that.
Well, I didn't even say your name yet. You know what? You're my foxy friend, Weston.
I didn't say anything. I deny it all.
Oh, please. He's gonna... He will lie. Like, he will lie. And he just did. Because right before this, he said, Alex, please, I'm begging you, call me Foxy.
Okay, so begging is very strong. What did you even say? How did we even get to foxy friend? You said... what?
I called you a dear friend.
Oh, that's right. I was gonna say, I don't even remember what joke I was making. You're like, my dear friend. And I'm like, I'm not a deer. I'm more like a fox or whatever I said. I don't even remember what I said now. That's how short-term my memory is.
You know, I saw a cute fox. I was recently visiting Colorado. No, that wasn't you. That one wasn't you. Because you could never match the cuteness of this fox. We were staying in this hotel up in this little mountain town in Colorado. It was really, really nice. And right outside the hotel, we were getting ready to hop on the shuttle to go across town. And there was this like little fox just chilling out there, just sitting in this little patch of snow. And there's like people taking pictures of it. And I kind of felt bad for him, but he was just chilling like, hey, what's up? Like he was just kind of sitting. and then there was this little girl that like started to walk to him. The parents were not too far behind. And then he started to like walk to her. And he's like a little fox.
Oh, no.
And then the parents, he's like, okay, sorry. Everyone backed off. It was really funny.
Yeah, it's like they're either about to become best friends with that fox is like, I'm about to eat her alive right now.
It's either best friends or enemies.
Yeah. Because you never know, like, with, wild animals, you don't know if because they're not just, I don't know, they're not like, video game enemies. Like you don't just hear boss music and every animal out there wants to destroy you, but you don't know.
Right.
You don't know if an animal's gonna like bite you or scratch you. And like even if that it's like maybe it's a friendly fox and it comes up and you want to pet it or something and it like bats you or it just scratches you a little bit. Oh no, big deal. Maybe it wasn't intentional. But then you find out it's got some disease or something. You have fox fever for 3 years. Yeah, you don't know.
Fox fever. I got fox fever.
I got the fox fever, baby.
That's our next hit song.
Fox fever. I like it. It's alliterative, so I like it.
Right. He's in. I can hook him with alliteration anytime. It's funny you mentioned the video game thing. I thought wouldn't it be interesting, like with animals specifically. So like like in like a game like The Sims or something, you can see like people's like thought bubbles or whatever. It'd be so interesting if you could just see like an animal's thought bubbles anywhere you go, just to see how simple-minded some of these creatures are.
If I know anything about old like comics and cartoons in the newspaper, that's how they speak, is with thought bubbles.
Mm-hmm. Just by thinking.
Yeah,
did you ever get into
at each other?
Are you familiar with? They think at each other. Do you ever? Well, actually, they kind of do. Like it's kind of funny because like if you look at these two cats that like they're just staring at each other and then like a video of two cats like fighting or whatever, and then all of a sudden one of them moves and the other and then it's wild. It's like they had this like Western showdown for 2 minutes, but it was completely silent. Well,
like especially animals, since they don't like literally speak words to each other, there's a lot of observing. Like you said, looking for movements, looking for like just, I don't know. I feel like for survival, animals have to try to suss out the intentions of every other creature that they come across. They're trying to predict that. Like, are we going to be friends or are we going to fight? Like, are you a competitor for resources and food or are you not? So
right.
I feel like us as humans, because we speak to each other often, because we're social, right? I think we don't always pick up on a lot of the other like cues. Like there's always a lot of talk about reading body language, but your average everyday person's not necessarily great at reading body language because we just expect us to speak to one another. Whereas animals don't have that luxury. They have to like figure out everything.
That sort of reminds me of this random story when I first moved out on my own and I lived in this apartment complex and I was scared. And I remember looking out my window, like, the very first night there. I was alone. I missed home. I wasn't ready, but I did it. And I remember, and I heard this fighting going on outside, like this fight in the parking lot. And my first thought is, oh, my God, where did I just move? You know? And I remember I looked outside, and there was it's like a group of people, but there was, like, kind of in a circle. And then in the middle of the circle, it was a big circle. And in the middle were two people like yelling and screaming at each other, arms flying everywhere. Not like punching each other, but just flying, like very animated movements. And then it just cut, and they completely walked separate directions moments later. Like there wasn't like a slowdown. Nobody was pulled back from each other. It was just cut. They walked away from each other, and they dispersed. It was the weirdest thing.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, I still can't describe that, but I know what I saw.
You didn't peek your head out the window and just shout, "World Star! World Star!"
It was a strange occurrence, and I've never told anybody about that. I just kind of left it in my head.
That is weird. Like I'm imagining just like maybe they were temporarily possessed by aliens that didn't know how human behavior worked.
Well, speaking of aliens.
Oh my God, if this episode's about aliens and I just called it somehow.
No, I'm going to have to direct us because we're nowhere near close where we need to be with the topic this week.
Speaking about aliens, car troubles, am I right?
No, hey, we're done with car troubles.
Okay.
We're not talking cars anymore.
I don't want to
Cars
jinx
are done.
myself.
No, I have a little topic here. By the way, this is Profoundish. We never said her name. Welcome to Profoundish.
Hey, we probably mentioned it at the intro.
What if this is that one intro where I just don't? Let's go, hey, you're listening to the show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is the intro where you're like, hey, you're listening, and you just play the music. That's it.
That's right. Nope, as you know, this is Profoundish, and we take turns hosting. And I'm hosting this week. This week, I want to talk about... Take a guess, Wes. I want to give you one guess. It starts with the letter D. This is going to be fun.
Dynamite.
Okay, very specific.
That was like my word association. You said starts with a D. I'm like the first D-lettered word. I'm going to just say it.
Okay, well...
Dynamite. Dogs. Diapers.
Ooh, dynamite diaper dogs?
Dynamite diaper dogs. That's the, like, music for it.
Yeah, if it were like a zany cartoon, it'd be like these dogs in diapers with like dynamite tied to the back of them, and then like they'd light the dynamite and then it'd explode, and it'd but it's a cartoon.
God.
No, it's a cartoon. It's a cartoon, so they're not dying. So that it explodes and like they like push forward really fast, you know.
I'm
that's
imagining
dynamite diaper dogs.
the scene in Toy Story where Buzz has like a rocket like tied to his like wings or whatever, and he's like using that to catch up to Woody, who's in like the moving truck. I don't know.
Exactly.
Have you seen Toy Story? You've seen Toy Story, right? Okay.
Yes. I
perfect.
Yeah, don't worry. I know it's been established that I'm not huge on the Disney stuff, but I am, especially like early to mid Pixar stuff. Big fan. Seen all that stuff.
Okay. Got it. So next time I do a characters in a restaurant or something, we'll do Pixar next time.
You can do Pixar characters, absolutely. My personal favorite is Monsters Inc. If anybody cares.
Monsters Inc.'s really good.
There's a lot of
Monsters
good ones,
University was okay.
It was fine. It wasn't bad, but no, I still prefer the original. I never saw Finding Dory. Did you see Finding Dory?
I did not. Finding Nemo was good.
Oh, Nemo. Yeah, Nemo was an instant classic. But once again, this is also not about Pixar. This today is not about dogs, dynamites, or diapers. We're talking about dreams.
Oh.
Dreams.
Okay.
Weston, do you dream a lot? Like, do you remember your dreams often?
Never. I don't remember a single dream I've ever had. This will be a short episode.
All right, let's go to the next segment.
Okay, we're gonna listen to some ads. No, I don't typically remember my dreams. I have remembered dreams or, parts of them or whatever. And I've had like nightmares. I've had both. But like typically average night, no. It's just kind of like you black out, you're like asleep and I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm ready to fall asleep. And then I'm waking up for the next day or whatever. You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean. I'm actually kind of in a similar boat. I would say probably on average, I at least have recent memory. I'll end up forgetting about it later. But like I'll wake up and remember a dream for at least a few days or whatever. Probably like once every few weeks, maybe once every 2 weeks. It's not that often, and then I have some that I'm sure you do too, maybe that are either reoccurring or that just stick with you just because they were such a bizarre dream. You ever have any dreams that just stick with you, right?
The ones that really stick with me are like really bizarre nightmares I've had where like something terrifying is happening and I wake up like, what? So I used to have, not anymore, but the one that sticks with me a lot is I used to have this reoccurring nightmare, 2 of them. I used to have 2 recurring nightmares. One where I was like a kid. So like as a child, I was driving a truck, but I didn't know how to drive. So I was somehow driving a truck and I couldn't get it to stop. I didn't know how I was making it go. I'm the only one there and I don't know how to drive. And I'm like, I drive like off a cliff, like Looney Tunes style, right? Like, it's just that it's the nightmare that I remember is the panic of I'm driving and I don't know how, I don't know what to do. And then I like fly off a cliff and like, I guess die or something. And then I wake up. And then the other one is being chased around in what feels like just a really dark house. But like, for some reason, there's just always more freaking rooms. So it's like this labyrinth of a house or whatever, being chased around by some kind of like unseen enemy. Like if it's like, I don't know if it's a murderer or a burglar, a monster for all that's worth. It doesn't really matter. Just being chased by the idea of a presence. And it's really dark. And then eventually I get outside and somehow that like turns the tables because it can't leave. But I'm still like scared. And then I wake up.
Oh, wow. So those are both recurring?
Used to be. This was more like when I was much younger. I don't know where they come from. I don't think that they mean anything. But for some reason, those are 2 dreams that to this day I kind of remember because they had happened more than once. Right. I don't know.
Okay. Well,
very strange nightmares.
Those are strange. I guess I'll start with mine too for at least recurring like nightmare. So I have really just one that's a recurring nightmare and I still have it maybe once every few years, but it's been since I was a kid. And it is being buried alive in third person. So, and it's very specific. I think I might have shared this before elsewhere. But it's basically, I'm being gently laid down to my knowledge, as I remember it, like in the ground, but like the ground is just like rolled up. And then they just roll the grass back down over me. But it's like really thick,
very Looney Tunes, right? Yeah.
Yeah, very cartoony. But I think it's because I have like a very slight version. I get a little claustrophobic. And when I don't feel like I can get out, I'm stuck or whatever. And I think maybe that's why I still have this from time to time. But anyway, yeah, I'm laid down. They roll the grass down. And then there's one light. There's like this little light bulb at the bottom of my like right foot, I think. And so I can see myself completely bright in that little patch, and all I want to do is get out. But I'm watching myself just lay there stuck, and I'm starting to sweat, and I can't handle it, and then I just wake up. So that's like, and I know it sounds kind of silly because like they roll the grass down, like it just rolled up, they roll it back down. But yeah, and as a kid it was really rough, and now as an adult, once again, it's only every few years. I haven't had one lately. Maybe they're over, but just bizarre. Now, I can explain that one a little bit more because I have that fear of being constrained anyway at times. At least that's what I relate it to. But that's kind of the cool thing about dreams, because I kind of consider myself kind of like I call myself a dream freak. I like to learn about people's dreams and just hear them, and I'm curious to know what your particular definition of dreams are. Like, what I usually say about dreams are like, this is by no means scientific. I'm just saying how I like to think of it as. Like, dreams are just kind of your brain just working things out sometimes. Like, and not necessarily problems, but just going over things. And then just kind of they're being presented to you in a certain way. And then other times, I think they really are just, you're kind of working things out in your head. Like, you got something going on, maybe you're trying to process it, and that's one of many ways that your subconscious is kind of processing it. But how do you view dreams? Like in your, like if you were to give your basic, simple definition, kind of like I just did, what would you say?
I don't put a lot of stock in dreams for like meaning anything. I totally get what you're saying. Like that's your brain processing information in some way. But my hang up with that is the fact that they're so nonsensical. Like those nightmares that I mentioned. It's like, what does that mean? And like, why would I have it? What I think it is personally is just your brain is high. So like
Okay.
at night, your brain goes through a bunch of like repair, and it just kind of goes through a bunch of different like processes than it does when you're awake. I think, and I'm not a brain scientist or a dream scientist, so someone out there correct me, but like I think your brain floods itself with a bunch of hormones and chemicals to like flush out its system or whatever, and I think you just hallucinate like crap. And like crazy stuff happens. So that's why I think like some reoccurring dreams and nightmares, it's because it's like often the same like balance of chemicals maybe, and you just hallucinate. Now I don't know why. Again, the REM sleep, so your eyes like vibrate like crazy, and that's what creates the sensation of, I think that's what creates the color sensation. That's why there's like color in your dreams or whatever, because your eyes are like vibrating like crazy and your brain's using that to formulate images in your mind or something. I'm not sure why that happens.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I never thought of that. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying too. Well, it's funny because there's so little that we truly know about dreams still.
Yeah.
Like, and why they happen, how they work. There's plenty of studies that have been shown, but like there's just, I guess, I don't know if the results vary so much or what, but yeah, there's still so much that we don't know just about our own brains in general, let alone dreams. So I always thought that was kind of interesting too, that like we have learned and studied so much, but yet things like that we produce within ourselves, we're still like scratching our heads trying to figure out why and how things work in some ways. I think that's interesting on its own.
I don't remember who said it. I just remember this was a quote that I heard playing like Civilization 5. Like when you unlock new technologies, there'd be like a famous quote that would just play or whatever. And the one that sticks with me is that if the brain were so simple that we could understand it, we wouldn't be able to understand it. It's something like that. I don't remember the exact quote.
I mean, yeah.
That's one of the things, right? Like our brain is so complicated because that's where I assume dreams originate, is in our mind, right? Our minds and our brains are so complicated and we still don't understand them. But like, how could you? Because the easier it is to understand, the simpler a creature we would be, and we probably wouldn't be able to understand. I don't know if we'll ever fully understand like dreams or thoughts or like if the soul is in the brain or something, like these intangible things that are all wildly different with every single person. I don't know if we'll ever fully understand it. We'll have like a basis maybe, but like it's so different for everybody, right?
It is so different for everybody, but the weird thing is that there are common themes. Like there are certain kinds of dreams that many people have, but are very specific, which I think is bizarre. Like, I can't even think of a good example right now. But I know, like, they're like being chased. I'm pretty sure is a very common one, or like being naked in public. Like those sorts of things, which you can kind of people can guess what those represent if you want. But they could represent. The thing is, though, maybe I'm just thinking about this now. I guess say you and I both have a dream about being naked in public. We might have that dream for different reasons, though. So I guess that kind of goes back to the same thing. Like my first thought maybe would be, you're insecure or you feel lost or whatever. But who knows? That can mean something different for you.
Right.
I wanted to touch on this though. Have you ever had a dream where you knew you were dreaming and you could like control, like lucid dream?
No, question mark. So, no, I don't think so. I've never been aware that I was dreaming and just had control over a dream in the way that I've seen it described before. I have had what I call waking dreams, where you're like on that verge of like, you're waking up and you just have enough of your dream left in your mind where you're like, oh, I'm like waking up, but like I want to keep playing out this like this fantasy in my head. And basically what I will do is like I'm just sitting there in bed, eyes closed, still daydreaming, but it's continuing a thing that I must have been dreaming. You know? I don't think that's lucid dreaming because now I'm in more control, but I'm not really asleep anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, well, I know what you mean because usually when the dreams that I remember are always the ones that are kind of happening like just right on the cusp of it. And I can usually almost all of my dreams I remember, I know that I'm like waking up, kind of like what you were just saying. So I can definitely relate to that. I've actually had, I believe, one true lucid dream when I was young, and I don't know how I got there, but I was able to manipulate and change things. And at the time, I just wanted to fly, so I just flew around like this, like it was like some like London. It looked like London. It was like a, I think it was London if I were to guess.
I saw Big Ben.
Anyway, I saw Big Ben. Okay, and I remember just flying around and thinking that was super cool. I've always like been interested in that sense. And there's some people who like, if you've ever read in on it, like, there's people who can like, who say there's ways you can practice it and you can get better at it. Like, I guess like manifesting it and like really getting it in your head a lot, like before and after you wake up, or like before you go to sleep and after you wake up, like reflecting on it, writing down notes. I'm sure you've heard some of that stuff before. Like people talk about how they can control their dreams a lot, which would be cool. But yeah, I've never, and I guess but I don't know, some people say you can eat certain things. I don't know if I buy any of that, but I always wanted to do that, but I don't have the discipline. Like, I'll wake up sometimes and remember a dream and go, man, that's weird. And they say you need to write that stuff down so you can look at it later, just do that thought process in your head. But I'm like, I just want to get up and get my coffee.
Right.
Like, whatever. I'll remember it, and then I forget it.
I've had the thought before to try to record a dream to myself. I've had that thought, because it's something people do. They keep, like, dream diaries or dream journals or whatever. I've had that thought happen, but what I've discovered is that the best way for me to remember a dream is to not try to think about it. It's like, the more I try to think about it, when I try to write about a dream, like, the more I think about it, my brain starts trying to, like, almost revise it, to make it make sense. And then also, before I know it, I don't remember the dream. I'm just making up a story now that I'm inventing now, not when I was asleep. So I just kind of, if I had a dream, I just kind of sit in it for a while and I just let it go. And then sometimes I'll remember them later, but most of the time, no, it's gone. I'll maybe remember part of it. I'm like, what? There was a fish, and then no, I don't know. You know, well, what I mean?
It's kind of like when people recall the dreams they had the night before. Because once again, I hear this a lot because I ask people, because I'm a dream freak. I'll say, "You have any dreams?" And then they'll tell me, which I love because I just love hearing them because they're so outlandish. But yeah, it'll be like that. It'll be they're trying to make sense as they tell it. So they'll say like, "Yeah, so I was in my house, but it didn't look like my house. It was somebody else's house," and like stuff like that. You know,
right?
Like, it makes sense as you're dreaming it. Even though it's not. Like, another recurring dream I used to have was kind of like the naked dream when I was a kid. I would be naked and I was like in school. And it was always our school, but it was never our school.
Right.
It was just whatever my brain decided to build in its head, I guess.
You knew in the dream, like you felt it, that this represented your school, but just like if it were a movie, like if you could like break it down scene by scene, you're like, well, none of these lockers or hallways add up to the school I actually go to. But you knew feeling wise that that's what it was supposed to be.
It would be so amazing if we had the technology to, like, back to your dream, like you're being chased through that big like labyrinthy house. Imagine if we had the technology to like extract the layout as your brain saw it in that moment, the layout of that home in your brain, like we could see it on a TV, like on a screen, and just see how weird it would look. That'd be incredible.
There are like scientists out, I don't know what they're called. There are scientists out there that are trying to kind of do that. I don't think that the progress is anywhere close to being able to create an actual video, but basically trying to read brain activity while a person's asleep and trying to like convert that into like, well, what are they thinking about? Like, And so that when the person wakes up, if they'd been dreaming, it's like, do you remember a fish or a cube? Or, they're trying to figure out what things represent based on the brain activity. So there are people out there doing that or trying to do that. I don't hold a lot of hope for being able to figure that out because, again, the dreaming, there's so much of it where you have a feeling that a thing is a thing, but that doesn't mean that thing is the actual thing that you're seeing. If that,
right, yeah. Like,
I feel like that makes sense, but
that makes complete sense. I do want to actually, right before we move on to our next segment, I have a really weird dream that I've remembered for years. Not scary, just bizarre, that I've wanted to share with you. And then after I share that, I think we can move on to our next segment. I got a fun little game for you to play, but I want to share this with you. So, I probably had this dream once again. The peak of my dreaming was probably when I was like 10, and in terms of remembering my dreams. And I'll never forget this one. So I'm going to try and explain it. Who knows how much it's kind of morphed over the actual dream itself. But here's how I remember it, and I've always told it. So, 10 years old, around that time, and I remember I was in the dream. I was riding my bike with my friends at the time, and we were just riding around town, and it was getting dark outside. So, hey, we got to get home. It's almost curfew. So, it was curfew, so we were turning around, but then what happened was we saw, like, zombies, like whatever I envisioned as a zombie. So, like, there were zombies chasing us. So then we thought, we can't go home, we got to go the other way. So we're riding our bikes, and then we ride our bikes up to this intersection in my hometown, and then all of a sudden, in the middle of this intersection is this giant orange, like, alien thing. It was like an orange alien in like an astronaut outfit, right?
Oh.
But he was he was cartoony, so he wasn't super scary, but he did scare us at the time. And he picked us up, and I remember just going down his throat. He like ate us. Okay.
Okay.
So like, oh, and then everything turns white. I remember this very specifically. It like faded to white, not to black. It was white. And then next thing I know, this is the weird part that I would love for dream scientist Weston to try and dissect for me.
Oh, okay.
So the white fades away, and I'm swimming in a pool with my mom, and it looks like this indoor hotel pool.
Okay.
So my mom and I are swimming around, and then on the edge of the pool, like near the doors to the exit of the room, is SpongeBob. Remember, I was 10, okay?
Right.
It was SpongeBob in handcuffs, like he's being handcuffed by the police.
Oh, no.
And all he kept saying, and I know it sounds crazy, but he keeps saying, "I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. Did you hear me? I'm not leaving." And then I'm just like swimming around with my mom as he's like being handcuffed, being taken away. Just, "I'm not leaving." And then as they walk him out, I wake up.
Huh. That's wild.
I once again, I know it's nonsensical, but that is one for some reason that has always stuck with me because it was weird. What do you got?
I say I like how you're like, what will dream scientist Weston think of this? And I'm like, it was a dream, dude. It doesn't mean anything. I think you enjoyed SpongeBob, pools, and bikes, and the weird orange astronaut man was just a concoction of your tiny brain, just inventing a character. If that means anything at all, because I know people talk about like nightmares can be manifestations of anxieties. So with the whole like you got to get home in time before it's late, and then you're on your bike, and then you get eaten up by some random astronaut. So the idea is like two anxieties: one, the fear of being late and in trouble, and possibly even the dark because it's getting laid out. Maybe there's an attachment there. But then also two, just strangers. So like darkness comes with mystery. There's a reason why everything that's like scary in horror films is all shadowy and dark, and what the darkness represents mystery and the unknown. So like you're on your bikes with your friends and you're 10 and you've probably been told you've got a curfew, you got to get home. So because you're never allowed to be out at night when it's dark, that represents mystery, and that represents the unknown, and that's danger. So you're heading home, and what could you encounter in the darkness is a mysterious stranger that could do you harm. He eats you. Why do you show up at a pool? Don't know. Maybe that's your brain trying to comfort yourself. because you're like, well, I like pools, and my mom's pretty cool. But you still have like SpongeBob, right, being taken away. So like so that's probably, you just went from anxiety to your safe place, but that anxiety is still bubbling around the back of your mind. So you're like, well, you know, pool, water, SpongeBob, the ocean, right? So you're in the pool having a great time, and then the water manifests itself as SpongeBob having a miserable time instead of you. Why handcuffed? That might be attached to the whole I'm in trouble thing. Right? Like if you don't get home in time for your curfew, your mom's gonna like ground you or put you in your room or whatever. That's kind of like a jail or something. Maybe that's the manifestation, is SpongeBob going to jail, but it's really him in trouble, not you. Again, because your brain's trying to comfort yourself.
Yep.
There. That's my dream science for you.
I would say that is the answer that I was looking for. Thank you for doing that.
I like how I started that whole thing with, it was a dream, it meant nothing. Let me explain what it means.
I know. I thought you were going to leave it at that, too, then you went off on it. I loved it. Oh, goodness. I always kind of envisioned it that way, too. In a similar way, just multiple anxieties.
Here's a short reoccurring nightmare that I remembered talking about pools and stuff, and then you can analyze it or not. There's not a lot of details. Okay. My family used to go to the Wisconsin Dells. It's like a water park and a resort or whatever. I used to have this recurring nightmare that as a kid, again, this is as a kid, that I was at that park playing around in the pools and the climbing stuff or whatever. And I go back to like where my parents are at those like lounge chairs. And I think it's usually my dad that gets mad at me, but it's both of them are mad at me because they're like, where are your trunks? This goes back to like the naked thing. And I'll look down, I'm like, I'm naked. I'm just naked at this resort, right? And they're like so mad, go get your trunks. And I run back to the park where I was just having fun. But now I'm like in this dead panic that like everyone's mad at me because I don't have my trunks. I'm not even embarrassed about being naked at that point. That's not even the thing. I'm just running around naked looking for my trunks that have vanished. And then I wake up.
What's interesting about it is that you're not, at least as you recall, not really panicked about the naked part. You just are trying to
like, I think in my mind, I knew that that's supposed to be embarrassing, but it's like the important thing is I have to find these trunks.
So that's still, I guess I would say that still lends itself to just another kind of anxiety. You know what I mean?
I don't know what it is though. Like, is that more like is that an anxiety about just being in trouble? Anxiety for like losing things? I don't know, but
that's something more along the lines of what I was thinking of, like, and less about, I guess, the embarrassment or like feeling isolated. It's not because I think that's a common thing people say with the naked dreams, like you feel isolated and misunderstood and all that stuff. Yeah, that seems just more like it's just a stress dream. Like,
yeah,
stress is probably better than anxiety and stress obviously go hand in hand, but because I have stress dreams and those are totally different. Where usually, like, for me, it's like in a similar feeling that you have, but a totally different context. Like I will like I'll be late to something and like I can't get there on time. Like for me, that's a big deal. So like stress,
right?
And then I'll sometimes wake up nearly sweating because of it. So I would say that lends itself more to you're stressed about something. Interesting.
Lord
so
knows, because again, I was a kid, so I don't know what I was stressed about. But and not that kids don't get stressed. I'm just as an adult, I'm looking back like I don't know what it would have been, but
right, something at the time that clearly was stressful for you. It's weird that perspective shifts a lot when you get older, but.
Right.
Hey, thank you for sharing your naked dream with me. I appreciate that. It is time to move on, close fully on, or maybe we'll see about that. And Weston,
all right, I'll start stripping.
Start stripping. That's fine with me. We're going to start in just a moment here a little game where we're going to go over the 10 most popular like themes in dreams according to Google Trends, and we're gonna do something with that list in just a second.
Okay.
Bye.
Be right back.
Profoundish is brought to you in part by Camp Nostalgic Saturday Morning, a show that takes a deep dive into pop culture's biggest questions. I co-host alongside Dave Rediger, and it's a lot of fun. Watch the show and see all the other content offerings at campnostalgic.org.
Profoundish is brought to you in part by HastilyMadeDecision.com. Get your poetry fix from my poetry blog featuring haiku, senryu, freeform stuff, and more. Again, that's HastilyMadeDecision.com for your poetry fix.
Oh my god! Actually, this one of these reminds me. Okay, no, yeah, we're back. Hi.
What reminds you? Go ahead. It's okay. Say it.
We'll get to it. I was reading your list you have here, and actually, one of these is a recurring nightmare of mine. That is like, I still get to this day. That when we were talking, for some reason, I didn't think about. Oh, but one of these is still occurring, reoccurring nightmare, and it freaks me out every time I wake up.
Well, then I want you to share that when we get to it. So,
yeah.
What we have, so I've shared my screen with Weston. What he has in front of him is a list of, according to Google Trends, so what people are searching on Google, these are the most common things people are searching about when they're talking about their dreams on Google. I'll read them really quick. But before we do that, what we're going to do with these is basically I want you to guess from most searched to least searched, or sorry, from least searched to most searched, according to how you're looking at it top to bottom, what you think is the most searched or least searched. So number 1 being the most, number 10 being the least. So here is the list. So the list is, these are very vague. So some things you're going to hear, it can be used in different contexts, but they're being searched about on Google. So we got being chased, sex, snakes, exes, like ex-girlfriends, ex-boyfriends, whatever, teeth falling out, spiders, weddings, bears, vacations, and flies. So these, according to Google, are the top 10 in general, and you are going to list them together. Now, here's the thing, though. That's not all.
Ooh.
If you get 7 out of 10 correct, it's a pretty high number. What I will do is I will I thought about the punishment, not about the reward. Here's what I'm going to do. I will.
You're like, there's no way he's going to get it.
I will see it through that every dream you have going forward will be a lucid dream. I'll get you in contact with the best dream scientists who can help you get there. You heard me. It's going to happen. It's too late. There's things you don't know. Okay.
So when I get like these 9 out of 10 right, and you're like, oh, I don't know how to do that.
Well, we'll talk about it when you get there.
Okay, sure.
So, and like I said, it's 7 out of 10. Now, if you don't meet that 7, at least 7 out of 10 correct, I will haunt every dream you have going forward.
Actually having a familiar face, seeing as most of the things that I remember are like nightmares, maybe having a familiar face in my nightmares will actually be good for me. So this sounds like not a punishment either. This sounds like a good thing as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you don't know what I'm going to do to you in these dreams, Weston.
Go on.
All right. Go on.
Go on.
All right, you ready to get started?
I am.
So this is up to you. You can pick either in order or you can pick and choose, whatever you want. I've got just a 10 through 1 here, 10 being the least searched, 1 being the most searched. So there's that extra angle, of what are people searching on Google, because there might be things that someone may not want to search on Google or whatever. So you got that extra context there. Go take it away. Let me know what you're going to pick, and we'll go from there.
I think I'm going to start with I'm going to start with number 10 and work my way to number 1. So I'm going to work my way with what I think is the least searched dream topic and go to my most searched. And I'm going to start with flies. I was surprised to see that on the list. I personally have not, to my recollection, ever dreamed of flies, nor do I recall ever hearing anyone talk about fly dreams. It might be more common than I realized, but I don't think I've ever heard of this. I know flies are gross, and maybe people that are, again, talking about anxieties and stuff, if people are really against untidy messes and garbage or whatever, maybe someone who dreams about garbage a lot will get a lot of flies in their dreams or something. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, it was interesting seeing that on the list, too, I thought.
Yeah, because that one, and then the next one after that I think is the next least, is bears. I just don't think I've heard anyone talk about flies and bears. I think the reason I kind of hit those really close, flies and bears, I just don't think I ever hear about either of those. So I wasn't sure which should go where, but I'm I feel like bears might be common enough where bears are more common to dream about? And it doesn't have to be nightmares. People could be having good dreams about bears, maybe like Smokey the Bear, or like the Berenstain Bears, or like I could see kids dreaming about bears. I've never heard of it, but I could see it. Again, flies, I think I've never heard of this. So I'm going to go flies and bears.
Okay.
And then that leaves, again, being chased, which I talked about. That's actually one that I've had. So the fact that that's on the list at all, I think that's probably common. Sex is probably common. Everyone knows like wet dreams or whatever. Like that's, I bet, pretty common. Snakes, that kind of is in the same realm for me as flies and bears. But I do know people are typically more viscerally afraid of snakes. Kind of goes with like spiders that's coming up. I've dreamed of spiders. I've had nightmares about spiders. I don't remember any specific ones that just other than I know I have woken up and just terrified and basically attacking my bed looking for like something's in my bed, and it's usually a spider in my head. I don't ever find anything in my bed, but I'm probably dreaming about spiders in my bed or something, and I'm like, I wake up, I have to get out of bed. Usually in my sleep, I like run to the like light switch and flip it. And then I'm just like panicked and looking around the room, like, where am I? What's going on? And I'm like, oh, it was just a nightmare.
Right.
So I've had dreams about spiders. I hate spiders.
Yeah,
I get that. I bet that one's common. I don't know how common. I'm thinking about weddings and vacations. I don't know how often it is someone specifically dreams of a vacation. I could see dreaming about a weird thing in an exotic location, but I don't know what it would be like to dream a vacation. I'm going to go with the next least dreamt thing on this list is vacations.
Okay.
So number 8, I'm going to go vacations. Right. I think that's a little, I'm probably wildly wrong about this, but I think that's something that seems a little oddly specific as opposed to like weddings, which I think people might have more dream weddings, especially if maybe they're seeing someone they're really into and they have like a dream. What if, we got married or whatever? I could see that more than vacation.
Yeah.
So I'm going flies, bears, vacations, and then I think I'm going to do snakes. I think people might dream of snakes more, right? Because I just think that might be. Again, I'm stuck on like nightmares, like anxiety stuff, like things that people were actually scared of.
Yeah, and those are common. I mean, like at least, nightmares and anxiety, stress dreams anyway. Yeah. And I feel like snakes kind of specifically, snakes have a lot of representation in a lot of ways. And usually not in good ways. I mean, biblically, not a good way. That could influence people's dreams, So, yeah, I totally get that.
I'm trying to think if I've ever had a dream about a snake. I don't think I have.
I know. I'm trying to think so, too. Like, I can't, to be honest with you, I don't even know if I've had any dreams about any of these. And I don't even think I've had dreams about spiders, and I hate them, too. I don't think I've ever had any animal dreams, at least to a major extent. Maybe there's been something in there that I just haven't thought about, but.
Right. Or something that wasn't super important. Because kind of like the vacations one, I put it pretty low on this list, but like I said, with the naked dream, I was at the setting for that was Wisconsin Dells. But like the primary like thing about the dream wasn't the fact that I was on vacation. The fact was that I was naked and couldn't find my trunks. Mm-hmm. Like that's what the dream was about. So that's why I'm like, I don't know. And that leaves me with being chased, sex, exes, teeth falling out, spiders, and weddings. I think I'm going to put. I don't know. I'm trying to think. How common do you think people dream about? Have you ever had a wedding dream?
I feel like, and I'm saying this as someone who I can't remember what the list is anymore, so I feel like I can kind of speak with this with you. I have the cheat sheet at the bottom though, but I think I've never had dreams about weddings, but I would imagine people only really would dream about weddings maybe if back to anxious about their wedding coming up. I just don't feel like. And then maybe there's those rare occasions where people just have a random dream and there's a wedding in it. But I've never had any dreams about weddings, to my knowledge. Have you?
No, not that I can think of. But maybe you're right. Like a lot of people get married. Maybe the dreams about weddings don't really happen until you're getting married. And I've never been married, so that's maybe why I haven't had them.
Right.
We need to call up Justin.
Call up our buddy who got married.
About getting married.
Yeah.
Or
lifeline.
Fish.
Use a lifeline.
Yeah, can I use a lifeline? I'd like to call a friend. I don't know. I guess if I put that into context, I guess it makes... Do I want to put it further up the list? I was thinking about putting it next at number 6. I mean, think I still
a lot of people get married.
A lot of people get married. But I'm just looking at these other ones, and I'm like, surely they're more common? Some of them I'm biased about, like being chased. I've had many nightmares about being chased. So I feel like I know that's common for me, and I'm probably biased thinking it might be common for other people. But, I imagine, especially as kids, like if kids are having nightmares and like, parents might be chasing their kids around, like a kid knows about getting chased. I don't know.
Right. And do keep in mind, too, just a reminder, this is just not only for you, but people listening, too. These are based off of Google searches, like Google Trends. So, you know, that's kind of, and I actually kind of picked from that for a specific reason, because I thought that might influence your decision on a few, just because there might be certain things people do or do not search publicly on Google. Anyway, I just thought
I feel like most people, if they're in the privacy of their own home, will search anything.
Yeah, not much shame. Yeah,
right. Like Google autofill is already pretty weird, right?
That is true.
So, like, I feel like some of these things people will just put in their search history and not. I mean, that's like the joke, right? Like, when I die, delete my search history.
Right.
Like, as if people are they just don't care because who's gonna see it.
That's true.
I'm gonna put weddings at number 6. I'm gonna think it's not that common, or if it is any more common to have those dreams, I think that most people probably aren't searching it. They're probably like, well, I know why I'm dreaming about weddings. It's because I have a wedding coming up. So they're probably not searching it. So maybe that, now that I say it like that, I bet flies is probably much further down the list. It's probably higher up only because it would be a weird dream to have. Like, why am I always dreaming about flies?
Right. You can move it if you want.
I'm gonna leave it just because I don't feel like changing it. But now that I think about it in that light, maybe that would be the way to take it. All right, so I'm halfway there. Flies, bears, vacation, snakes, weddings. What's left is being chased, sex, exes, teeth falling out, and spiders. I bet sex and exes are high up.
Sexes, yep.
Sexes. Because I just feel like it's like sex sells, right? Everyone's always interested in those things. And they might be like, especially if you're younger, and maybe you're like a teenager or whatever. I can imagine teenagers the world over. What's it mean when I dream about sex? What is sex or whatever? I don't know. I could see that being run by young people, and young people are on the internet all the time. Maybe older people too. The exes I think could be anybody. I think I'm gonna put teeth falling out at number 5. I don't know how common that. I really want to put it higher.
Okay, I'm gonna put it back. I had it moved.
I'll put it at number 5. I'm trying to decide my own bias on this, because this is the one actually I have a reoccurring nightmare about losing teeth.
Okay.
All like to this day for years I've had, and I think it's probably gotten worse. Since as a kid, you lose your baby teeth. That didn't bother me because, you have the tooth fairy and you get a coin, or it's not bad. But then eventually you have a full set of adult teeth. You can't lose your teeth now. That's bad. So I don't know if as I've gotten older, it's actually gotten worse. It's usually my molars will somehow get chipped or something, and I can feel it loose. Yeah, it'll be like my back teeth, not my front teeth, and I'll bite into something. Or actually, I've had nightmares where I wake up, quote quote, in the dream, and I wake up from whatever, and something's loose in my mouth, and one of my teeth is loose. And then whatever happens in the nightmares, whatever the context is, once one tooth is loose, I get really nervous, oh no, it's loose. I'm going to lose this tooth, and it will fall out, and then other teeth start getting loose. And it's usually just the back teeth, though, as I lose my back teeth, and then eventually I wake up, and it's terrifying. I hate it. Because then when I actually wake up for real, since sometimes in the nightmare I think I woke up, for some reason.
Right.
When I wake up for real, I have to check my mouth, like because I thought I think I'm still missing teeth, and then I'm like, oh no, they're all still there. They're all hanging on. Nothing's loose. Everything's good.
Right. Yeah, those things can feel so real. It's crazy.
Yeah, like I feel like in those nightmares, those are the most tactile nightmares that I remember, where I feel like I remember my tongue rubbing up against my teeth in the nightmare, right? Like I feel that, which I might just be doing in my sleep. I don't know. But
it's true, though. I mean, like, I've had dreams, believe it or not, because you're going to think I'd wake up with, like, my bed wet. But I've had dreams where I've peed and I haven't peed in real life. And that's a very common thing. Like, people will, like, pee in their dream and then they're actually peeing, like they're wetting the bed.
Right.
But in the dream, I swear I'm doing it. I see the stream. But then I wake up and it's nothing. Like, it's strange how it's so vivid, your dream sometimes.
I think I have done that maybe one time before, because I feel like I remember the confusion. I think I do remember going to the bathroom, peeing. I don't know if I've ever pooped in a dream, but I think I remember peeing in a dream and waking up confused because I still had to pee. And I think this has been like one time, maybe twice, ever. And I'm like, oh, well, thank goodness I didn't actually pee myself. Other times, I've definitely needed to pee in a dream, but for some reason, there was a sense of dread about doing it. And I think that's because it was like my subconscious trying to think, wait a minute, this isn't real. I'm going to pee myself. And then I'll wake up and it's like, oh God, I have to go to the bathroom. I'll go to the bathroom for real. But
I just thought of a genius idea. Right before we recorded, we were talking about how dating sites are pretty rough. And I think what you should do is I can't remember which dating app because it's been a long time, but when I used them, I think it might have been Hinge. It was like maybe multiple. There's a section where you can put one thing that you may not know about me is blank. You should put, I've never pooped in a dream. See who you attract.
I don't know if the first impression I want to put out to people is the idea of poop at all.
Well,
I don't want to become the dating app poop guy.
There's this extra layer, this almost meta layer of like, does he really think like that's an interesting thing? Like, oh, maybe other people do poop in dreams a lot, you know? But I don't. I don't poop in my dreams. Someone reads
that and they're like, wait, I don't either. Maybe I'm soulmates with this guy. Neither one of us poop in dreams.
All right, you got your top 4, friend.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4 to go. Being chased, sex, exes, and spiders. I think the being chased is probably relatively common. So, and I know it's been pretty common in different formats in my own nightmares. I don't know how often it's searched specifically, but I think enough to be at number 4.
So you said being chased, number 4?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's one people definitely do search a lot. That leaves sex, exes, and spiders. I'm gonna go with I've gone back and forth in my head here a few times. I'm gonna go with it's weird. I kind of on one hand don't think a lot of people are searching like, what does having sex in my dream mean? I don't think that's common. But at the same time, something in that topic might be common because I just bet it is common in people. So I'm going to put it at number 3. I'm going to put sex at 3. Okay. Because I don't think people. That makes sense. Yeah, it's sex. Sex sells. Sex is everywhere. It's on a lot of people's brains all the time. Right. There was a statistic I remember reading. What was it? It's like, I don't know. It was some absurd statistic that I don't even think can be proven. It might have been made up. It was like the average teenage male thinks of sex once every 7 seconds.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it was something insane like that. Maybe it's not that insane because that sounds insane to me now. Like, imagine every 7 seconds you're thinking about sex.
Or just a sexual thought. I mean, like,
right.
That's pretty vague, so who knows? But yeah, I remember reading that too.
But so I just feel like it's a common enough topic to be high up on the list, but I just don't think it's mysterious enough for people to be like Googling like, what does it mean or anything like that.
Sure.
So I think number 2, I'm going to put spiders. I bet spiders is really low because I bet no one's asking questions about spiders. But I also think spiders are a common fear for a lot of people. So maybe people are Googling, like, how to stop dreaming about spiders. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
And then that leaves number one as X's. About
X is number one. Okay.
This is probably wildly off base because, so the thing with X's, I think, and maybe I'm wrong about this, I think it could be a little bit of both. Like, dreaming about just your exes or in dream, because you have that like statistic where every person in a dream is a person you've seen in real life. But if you just saw a stranger in your dream that you don't recognize, you're not going to think about it later when you wake up. But if you saw your ex in a dream, you're going to be like, what does it mean? And you might Google about it or whatever. Also, any variation of these other things, like maybe you broke up with your ex and you're dreaming about still being with them, or maybe you're happily married or in another relationship, you have a dream about them, and you're like, does this mean something? Does this mean my current relationship's falling apart? What, I could just see a lot of anxiety about people having a dream about their ex in a circumstance where they don't necessarily want to still be with their ex, and wanting to like Google what does it mean, or like why, or how to stop. I just feel like that would be one that would strike up more anxiety once you wake up and realize you were dreaming about an ex, I think. Or even partners who maybe like say, like, because I sleep talk, so maybe I'm with somebody and they hear me talking in my sleep, and maybe it's like my ex's name and she knows it's my ex's name. Maybe they're the ones Googling it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I just feel like the opportunities are out there for there to be a wide variety of questions to ask Google.
Yeah, I follow that. I get it. So, are you locking this in? I'm about to read it, and while I read it, you can decide if you want to lock these in here. So,
I'm going to lock it in.
You're already locking it in?
I'm locking it in.
All right, man. Well, I'm still going to read
lock
it.
And drop it.
From least search to most search, we've got, according to Weston, flies, bears, vacations, snakes, weddings, teeth falling out, being chased, sex, spiders, and X's. X's being the most searched dream-related topic on Google. Once again, it's locked.
Probably so wildly wrong. I probably went about this strategically all wrong. But
well, get ready.
Let's do it.
Get ready, because you'll either be able to have a dream where you can remember it every time going forward, or I will haunt your dreams in ways that you do not want. You can say go on all you want. But
You're
I'll dig in there.
My dreams.
I will be haunting your dreams.
You're going to be haunting my dreams.
You think so? All right, let's find out. So I'm going to make this smaller. We can
my God, my list was perfect. 10 out of 10. What?
So
just kidding.
For this is in order. No, this is it's ordered opposite from how I had it listed out.
Oh, okay.
But coming in
gosh.
at the most searched is teeth falling out at 81,000 monthly searches. So
I didn't know if that was going to be common or not. I wanted to put that higher, but I held myself back because I was like, I'm the only weirdo having this dream about teeth.
Hold on, let me get this back up here. There we go, so we can see them at the same time. All right, there we go.
Yeah.
So there's one check right there for you. All right, next, number 2.
81,000 monthly searches. That's a lot. That's actually a lot of searches.
I know. Like in a month? That specifically.
I feel seen. I feel like I'm not alone.
I feel seen. That's good. Number 2 most searched, you had spiders, and the answer is snakes. I'm at 19,400 monthly searches.
I had snakes pretty low.
So number 3 is X's. You were kind of in the right ballpark.
That's close, yeah.
You had it at number 1, of course. It's actually the 3rd most searched. Next up is spiders. That's the 4th most searched. You had it being chased as the 4th most searched.
Right.
After that is teeth falling out. You have that at number 5, but I read that backwards. Vacations is the most searched, or 5th most searched. You had it as teeth falling out. Teeth falling out, though, as we know already, is the most searched, which I wasn't going to say much because I didn't want to influence your decision, but I remember that. But I've had multiple teeth falling out dreams, too. So clearly, like, you know, that checks out. Next up, 6th most searched is being chased. You put weddings. After that is flies. You put snakes. After that is sex.
You skipped.
Did I skip one?
A little bit. Yeah, so Being Chased was number 6, and I had put Weddings. But at number 7 was Weddings. So I was really close. I put Snakes for
You were really close. Sorry. Yeah, I missed that.
I was really close with Weddings. I almost got it.
And then you were kind of in a close ballpark with these again. So after that, for 8th most, you have it's Flies. You put Vacations. 9th most is Sex. You put Bears. And then 10th most is Bears. You put Flies. So you're close there with the Bears and the Flies.
Yeah, I was close with Bears. I was close with Weddings.
Unfortunately, Weston.
Yeah, I didn't get any.
I'm gonna be haunting your dreams. So
I mean, I'm not surprised to have not gotten any of them like exactly right. I'm more excited about the ones that I got really close. And then my general surprise with Teeth being higher up. I totally see why it would be, like, because if you have it, I think maybe you'd be more likely to Google it. But like, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't put it there.
Yeah, and like if you look up the teeth falling out, like what does it mean? Like you search that stuff up. That's always a very common one people talk about, and it usually has the most answers for it too, like on like these sleep websites and stuff. And it's always anxiety related, of course. Like usually they say it's tied to, processing a loss of some kind, whether it's big or small. That's a big thing that people always associate it with. I only know that because I looked the stuff up because I'm interested in it. But usually they say it's tied to a loss, whether it's a person or it's as simple as maybe losing a job or losing something even smaller. It's weird. That's what they say. But yeah, that's a huge jump from Snakes, which is number 2. 81,000 searches to 19,000 searches.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say, too. I'm 81,000 monthly searches for teeth falling out, and then second place is Snakes at 19.4 thousand.
Well, yeah, and
that's
if you look
big
here,
jump.
I didn't list all of the searches for each one, but the back half basically are really close to each other. 9,600, 9,200, 8,600, 8,400, so on. But yeah, for some reason that just reigns supreme. A lot of people must be dreaming about that. That's bizarre, and that's kind of what I was trying to get at earlier in our first segment. All of our dreams are different, but it's so strange how so many of us have this, right? Teeth falling out. Makes you wonder if maybe reading about it influences it, and then we just kind of put it in our subconscious, if that influences it at all.
Well, and again, like we all start with baby teeth, so we all experience teeth falling out as we get older. So it is common enough as an occurrence. So I would totally understand now, in hindsight, people having dreams or nightmares about teeth falling out. But yeah, that's a lot of searches.
It is. And that was a lot of fun. Hey, Weston.
Yeah.
Where can people find you on the internet?
In your dreams.
In your dreams.
I've got a website, westonhasty.com. It's a landing page for all the things that I do. In particular, you can find me on YouTube on a channel called Magic Man Mo, where I play video games and stream them. So come hang out if you like games. We can talk dreams in the chat. It'll be great.
Dream chat dream. His thing is similar to mine. You can visit me at westonhasty. No, I'm just kidding. You can visit me at alexduquette.net. I don't do Let's Plays, but I do a lot of music stuff. So you can find everything I do there. I do medleys where I take a bunch of songs, put them into one bite-sized song. I also have an album out called Songs from Sangamon Street, streaming everywhere, and CDs available online. So you can do that all at alexduquette.net. In terms of our show, Profoundish, you're currently listening to us right here, but you can also find us wherever you're at. So whether you're on YouTube, you can leave a comment there. Make sure you subscribe there. We're on social media before I go there, we're also on other podcast platforms. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts. There's many others as well. Make sure you follow us there. Give us a rating. Leave a comment. Do the subscribe. Do the like. Whatever you can do, please do that for Profoundish. Final thing is, continue the conversation with us. You can also follow us and continue the conversation on Instagram at ProfoundishPod, Twitter at ProfoundishPod. One of them is Profoundish Podcast. Is that TikTok?
No, they're all Profoundish Pod.
Why did I think one was a little different?
I don't know.
No, you know what? I know what it is. I'm not giving anything away, but I think our password that we use is different for one of them. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, we have two different passwords for different websites that have different requirements.
And
but
if you want to know,
handle is
right, the handle is the same.
Pod.
From Profoundish Pod. If you want to know what our passwords are for our accounts, tune in to the next episode of Profoundish.
Yeah,
that's how you get them hooked.
Leave your guesses in the comments or the Q&A or whatever wherever you're listening to this. Leave your guesses, and then we're going to reveal our passwords in the next episode.
Stick around. All right, I guess that's all. Next week's the password episode.
It's the password episode. It's my episode to host, so now I'm gonna have to figure it. You know what? Yeah, next week is the password episode.
All right, I'm looking forward. I'm curious to see what you'll do for the game. That'll be fun.
I've got a topic in mind. Usually we don't give people teasers about what we're doing. Now you do.
Look at that. Only because you're here right now. We'll see you guys next time. We're gonna go to sleep and dream now.
I'm gonna go eat food.
Maybe
dream about food.
I'm hungry.
Maybe both.
Maybe both.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Food. Sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams are made of this. Who am I to